Welcome to the Women in Industry podcast. My name is Kirsty Davies-Chinnock, and today I'm joined by Fiona Conor, who is the Managing Director of Trust Electric Heating, and they are the UK's most award-winning electric heating company. Fiona is an experienced director. She's very passionate about supporting the transformation of smart technology paired with electric heating to transform the industry as we all move towards carbon zero by 2050. At Trust, they grow rapidly and they're meeting new environmental and sustainable demands of heating. But more importantly, they're paving the way for new innovative, patented technology. And Fiona, you know I absolutely adore you. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. We've had a conversation before and it's great to have you here. I first found you in an article in The Manufacturer, which was titled Radiating Success. And it gave some background on how you and Scott started the business. So can you just tell the listeners how you started the business?
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, Kirsty, to invite me on here, because it's so lovely to see a like-minded female, which is always great in this industry. My husband decided to set up the business in 2014 without me knowing. He did it completely behind my back. But I have obviously forgiven him because we've been together for 28 years now. So he's still there hanging in. And he'd worked in the gas and heating industry for a long time after coming out of the army, and decided that he could do it better, because we used to resell a German radiator, bring it into our little sleepy village, and Scott would sell it, then install it, and he'd be out in front of customers and thought, wait a minute, there's a better way of doing this. And that's how we sort of like started the company, really.
So you're one of the original onshoring businesses. Onshoring is a buzzword. You know, the world is on fire. No pun intended. So supply chain is really, really important. And if you're importing parts or, in your case, the whole product, you've got to wait. And, if a ship gets stuck or you can't get things through customs or, oh, look, red tape, it's really going to impact on your business. So you decided just to do it yourselves.
When Scott decided to sort of like pattern a radiator, and that didn't go smoothly, by the way, and we decided that we would make British-made heating for British people, and we believe in the circular economy, so we believe in buying British. Every component is from the UK, apart from the stone inside. The stone is soapstone, and we have to get that out of the country because we don't do that here. But that's the only thing we bring in. And I just think people want to buy British, made by British people, and we're employing British people. And I think that's really important to the industry, really.
I think it's important to everybody, isn't it? I mean, not only is it reducing the carbon footprint when you're buying something, but you're supporting people just like you who go to work, do a job, and they have a job, and you're employing more and more people, because I know your team is growing.
Yes.
Because people are buying your product. So you said that patenting it didn't go well. What challenges did you have to overcome?
Well, when Scott had this beautiful idea, and he's not an engineer, we knew we needed money. So we went and secured an investment from a UK investment company, which was great. And Scott wanted £1 million, and we got £250,000 for 25% of our company. And I was quite delighted with that, because we'd not made anything. And Scott was obviously very disappointed. And it allowed us to move into 2,400 square feet with 3 chairs and 1 table at the time, and buy a kettle and some tea bags. And off he trotted to the pattern office with his little bit of scrappy paper, no real thought to it, I suppose, apart from in his head. And then he rang me up about an hour later and said, we can't pattern it. And I said, what do you mean? He said, it's not patternable. There's nothing unique about my design. And I said, well, what are we going to do? And he says, well, I don't know. He says, I'll see you in about half an hour. Pop the phone down. And I was like, I've given up my job because he set this company up behind my back, and I said I'd support him. Silly old me. And then we've taken £250,000 on, and I've taken a 3-year lease. And I'm thinking, gosh, what am I going to do? I can give the kettle and tea bags back, but I can't give the lease back. And he walked in half an hour later, got a pen on the whiteboard, and drew an egg box. I thought, quite interesting. And he said, this is what the back of my radiator is going to be. I'm going to do this egg box, and I'm going to keep the heat in for longer, and I'm going to make it flow in a certain way that actually it's hotter when it comes out, and it'll keep people warm because people are buying warmth. That's what they want. So I said, quickly ring the pattern office. He rang the pattern office, and they said, that is brilliant. Yeah, we can do that. It's patternable. And there we go. So it was fantastic then. I thought, right, this is smooth sailing. We started selling the rad. So we were selling it, and we'd taken £270,000 worth of orders, and I held their deposits in my bank to buy the materials, because that's how we all start off, really. And the 2 prototypes come, and they were beautiful, absolutely beautiful. One was like leather looked, and it was gorgeous. And it didn't work. Kept tripping at 24 degrees, kept turning off. And I said to Scott, what are we going to do? We've got all these deposits, and now we've got a product that we haven't thought through as properly as we should have done, and it does not work. And I said, I've got a networking meeting. Do you want me to stay and help? And he went, no, you go. So I toddled off to this networking meeting, and I believe really, honestly, Kirsty, that this business has been built on loads of coincidences. Things are happening, really good things for a reason. And I was stood there, and this man came to the stage, and he was an expert in aluminium and titanium. And our radiator was made out of aluminium. And I moved in, everyone was round him. He was quite a great character. And I went in and said, hey, can you come and have lunch with my husband and I? I need you to come and save my business. And he said yes. And he worked with us for a week. We looked at aluminium has to get rid of heat really quickly. It conducts heat 2.9 times faster than mild steel, and most rads are made out of mild steel. And we changed the back. And what Scott invented at that time, which we didn't know, he invented cool wall technology. So where most radiators lose like 40 pounds worth of energy into the back wall, we only lose £5. So everything's happened for a reason, really. But it sounds simple, but it was a lot more stressful than that, to be fair.
Yeah, it sounds simple. Yeah. It's like this has gone wrong. But each time you've had one of those challenges, it's been a blessing in disguise. Obviously, at the time, it's at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm
Yeah.
sure the table came in really useful for banging your head on. Oh God! But each one of those sent you on a different path, and you actually ended up with a product that's not only innovative, but innovative in ways that you didn't know it was going to be, if that
Yeah,
makes
it was
sense.
complete accident. Yeah, and it was brilliant, and it's actually allowed us to be the only radiator, and we've got international patterns with this technology, and because when you're buying heat, you're buying warmth. What is the point of it sitting in the radiator? And we do it at home, don't we? We think, oh, it's a bit chilly. We go to the radiator, it's red hot, and we turn the thermostat up, like suddenly the heat's going to move into the room. It doesn't work like that. You've got to create something that gets the heat into the room really quickly. And that's what we did. And tripped over a lot of success on the way, which was fantastic.
I love that. Tripped over a lot of success on the way. Um, I mean, it's not the only innovative thing you've done. In the article I was reading, there's a quote from you about your use of AI, which you're
Mm.
incorporating technology. So you're not just building a radiator and flogging it, you're looking at innovative work using technology through all the thermostats and things like that you're doing and apps. But internally, you're innovating as well. I think a lot more than a lot of SMEs do.
Mm.
With regard to sort of like, the back office. And the quote I loved from you was, if you had an army of 1,000 smart workers working 24/7 for free, what would you have them do?
Yeah.
And that's what AI done properly can do. It can take
Mm.
out the time consuming things. So what do your free smart bots do for you?
Yeah, and I think everyone's a bit scared of AI. And I've just been to an AI conference and it was very interesting because I thought I'm a little bit old really. The young people should be doing it, but the young people in my office are not embracing it like I'm embracing it. And when I was in India, somebody was saying actually the more mature people and the leaders of the business are the best people with AI. So that gave me comfort really that I'm all right about it. And what I looked at first is every business has human mistakes. Every business has human mistakes. And every manufacturer has an office and there's things happening and admin things. We do not need admin people as much now, or we need them to be more productive in a different way. And people don't want to be doing those repetition tasks. So like terms and conditions need to go out in a certain way. Why don't we put that in with AI so it has to go out on every call? There's no human there's no human element in that. Why aren't we reading documents on AI and looking for the main things and moving things quickly? And also, I want to be the Dyson of the heating industry, but I want to talk like Innocent Smoothie, this real edgy in your home company. And to do that, we all have to have the same tone. So all the emails have to be the same. So we've set up this is who we are, and everyone sends an email. They write the email in, and then it rewrites it in our tone and with our passion and our energy. So every consumer gets exactly the same knowledge, really. And then I looked at what keeps me up at night. And I think that's where we have to start. As a business owner, what makes you think on a night? I'm waking up at 2 o'clock and this is upsetting me. And for me, I spend a lot of money on generating leads. Every lead cost me £45, every inquiry, but we weren't getting through them fast enough. And we were taking about 30 minutes to ring 12 people. And I came across a piece of kit that I thought actually it'd double the productivity on my team. It'd give me 6 more people on telemarketing. And now we're ringing 12 people within 6 minutes, from 30 minutes to 6 minutes. So the productivity is better. They love it because they don't have to dial. It's happening for them. They're hitting more targets. They're feeling more motivated, which is great. And then, how do we look at data? And I use we've spoke about this before, Kirsty, and I think we use the same kind of bot where it's a data analyst. And how do I drop data in? And it gives me real intelligence. But I think we also have to be very careful that AI, it isn't always right. So you've got to have some kind of intelligence as well. It isn't about taking that away from you, to actually ask the right questions and to make it go more granular for you and to actually really get in depth. So your prompts have to be really careful. And I use it as my secretary. I use it to plan my holidays. I have loads of different little bots that I talk to, and I set them up with tasks on a night, and then I switch my computer off at 5, and in the morning it's all there, lovely displayed. So I'm getting hours back every day, which is great.
I love that. The image I've sort of got in my head hearing you talk about how you work with your bots, and you're further along the journey than I am. I'm getting better, and I do work with them and I love them, but I'm not getting as much out of it as yet. I'm getting better.
Yeah.
I've got this image of Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man, where he's wandering about in the lab, creating something and talking to Jarvis and going, try it that way, try it this way, do this, do this. Because that's the thing, isn't it, about AI? You don't just go, write this email, do this, and then take it and copy and paste it. You look at it and go, no, make the tone more this. No, now look at it on that product, make it in hot rod red, and all of
Yeah.
those things. It's a starting point, and the
Yeah.
same way you would write a story or a play or anything like that, and then you go back and edit it. You're doing exactly the same thing, but you're giving an instruction to the bot, going, write this, and then you go back and
Yeah.
go, change the name there, change this there, make them 6'7" or whatever it is.
Yeah.
and it's still your ideas, and you're still doing it, and you're still going to edit it. You're not just going to copy and paste it, but it's doing it quicker, because you can have that
Yeah, yeah,
idea and write
yeah.
it and it'll take an hour, or you
Mm.
can have the idea, get it written in 30 seconds and take 20 minutes editing it, and you've saved 40 minutes.
And I think for me, I remember being at a conference 2.5 years ago where somebody was showing, they were talking about AI, and if you have this vision, it was like us, a business owner sat in a deck chair thinking it's coming, but I'm not bothered. But we're a tsunami coming over the top of you. And we're all going to drown unless we get this right. And we all know, as business owners, the budget was not great. You know, we've got, I spoke about it. We've got, increasing national insurance, increasing the minimum wage, which means you have to increase other people's
Yeah.
wages because you've got differentiation. And you've got this happening now. And you've got choices as a business owner, haven't you? And your choices are, for me, do I stop innovating? And we're an innovative company because I haven't got the money, as much money as I can. Do I then have to put my margins up and pass them on to the customer? And already I'm paying high cost for my supplies because they're from the UK. So yeah, I can get them cheaper if I go out of the UK, but that isn't what I'm about. Or do we not, or do we get rid of people? Well, that is not the answer. But what I can do is I might have to employ in a different way, and employing AI can make me more productive and more efficient. And that would be the choice here at Trust. But you are right, your prompts have to be right. But the more you play with it, the more you're in it, the more you do it. I have it on my phone, I have it on my laptop, everybody has it. And the more you do it, the intelligence it gets about you, your company. And somebody asked me for a business plan yesterday, a high growth plan, and they wanted to know, how big my market was, what's my addressable market, and everything. And I just went, "Oh, tell me this for Trust." I just dropped his questions in, pressed the button, and went off, made myself a cup of tea, come back, and it were all done. And then, oh, lovely, just let me check that. That's fantastic. Bang that over to Steve. But it's all my intelligence that I've put
Yeah.
in there. It isn't, and it just, and I even said to it, "Oh, I'd like you to do this deeper. Can you just put a little bit more information in?" But it only knows that information because I've been dealing with it for 2 years.
And because
So
you've given it that information to start with. A
yeah.
perfect example, a friend of mine uses the same system, and she's uploaded every household manual into it.
Oh
So
gosh,
when she gets a dodgy light on the dishwasher or the washing machine, she goes, "What does this light mean? What is the solution?"
that is
You know,
brilliant.
and so you're not sitting there going through the cupboards in the utility going, "Where's the dishwasher manual again that we've had
But it's like
installed for
having a
10 years?"
person, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
like having a housekeeper or somebody to deal
yeah,
with something. And I mean, soon what is coming is AGI, which is more. I mean, that's going to be more human approach. I was watching something actually, and it was quite funny on the telly not long ago, and they were showing the bots that they've made now. The proper human ones that are
yeah.
going to be sitting in the office. And I was quite disgusted, really, because the female one was absolutely stunning. Well, we can
Hmm.
imagine what a man would design for the female, not being sexist.
Hmm.
But she was blonde, she was beautiful, big blue eyes, absolutely gorgeous, completely different hair colour to me and you, Kirsty. But then they showed the men, they showed the male one, and do you know what ours looks like? Stephen Hawkins. And I'm thinking, that just shows you what a female's like. We're interested in brains, we're interested in intelligence, So it was quite interesting. So yeah, I suppose that's coming next.
I always, whenever I see the sort of photographs of sort of like human centric robots, it's like it's anime meets, you know, robots. It's not. It's yeah. It's yeah. I think that there's just so many issues with how they design that. It's frightening, really, isn't
It
it?
is
It really
frightening. It
is.
is frightening, but our children or whatever will be sat next to these in years to come. It's happening. It's happening. So
What's the next stage for Trust? What are you looking to innovate next?
Oh, well, we do quite a lot of innovation at the moment. So we are moving, we built a business on a B2C market right into the consumers' homes. And we love that. There's nothing nicer because they are the people that we innovate for. And we've worked with a couple of universities now, and we do some really great student proximity sensors and thermostats. So the radiator, the NEOS stays exactly the same, but the way we program and control it will be different. And we've got, in this country, we've got an issue with our grid. Because I always thought, why don't we just put PV and solar on everybody's house and give everyone a battery and some electric, and then we'd be self-sufficient? And I didn't really understand that, if you see the wind farms and you go around the country, sometimes you think they're not working because they're turned off. And that's because we've got too much electricity in the grid. And the one thing we can't turn off is the sun. That's why they will not allow us all to have PV currently at the moment, because the grid won't able to handle that infrastructure. So we're working on a thermostat that will work with the grid, and it'll it will sort of like shift the load. And it will also take account of some really cheap tariffs as well. And it'll be programmed in a really intelligent way. And that'll be using a lot of AI as well in the product. And it's quite clever. And we're also in the middle of innovating. We've just tested a heat pump radiator using the NEOS technology in a heat pump radiator, which will help the temperatures be higher in homes than they currently are. So we've got quite a lot sat there. I'm just hoping Scott gets it right this time, because there's plenty of tables for me to bang my head on this year.
Well, Scott, if you're listening, don't mess it up, mate. Really don't mess it up. Yeah. I love the fact that between you all, that you all sort of think outside the box. But what you're doing is working towards a solution that people want and, more importantly, need.
Yeah.
Yes, I know the design of NEOS is absolutely gorgeous. It is a beautifully designed radiator, but that's almost the window dressing, isn't it? It's the technology and the thought and the solution it provides behind it, because we all know that the UK pays the highest amount in energy. We all know that's because electric prices are based on gas prices, which just seems cockeyed to me, but what do I know, hey? And if we can change that, make improvements to the grid, not overload it, and become more self-sufficient, then it's. I mean, I've got solar panels on my house. They were on the house when we bought it and moved in 8 years ago. The money we get back from the feed-in tariff on the solar panels more than pays for my electric bill every year.
Yeah.
Now,
And they won't do
I've got my gas
now.
bill as well, but it pays more than pays for my electric bill. And, the more we can do that, the better. And this is probably a 15-year-old system on my house. So it's not one of the new funky ones that are coming through now, with the lightweight panels and everything else and all the advances that are happening. But anyway, finally, Fiona, could you tell me what's the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice for me is to look after the people who work for you or in your team. Because if you look after your team and they feel they've got autonomy, empowerment, they feel it's their company, they will look after the customers, and then the customers will look after your revenue. And I think that's a simple thing. Instead of just looking after the revenue, if you look after that team, they will look after your company, which is, and I'm very, very lucky. I've got an amazing culture. And I feel like every day I walk in, I'm walking into my family. And I mean, one of the young guys said to me the other day, if you cut me, Fiona, trust will be running out of my blood. He says, that's how I feel. And I just think how lovely that somebody thinks it's their company, which is just amazing for me as a business owner.
No, that's fantastic. The only thing I would say with regarding cutting employees, HSE probably wouldn't like it.
No, probably not. I do it privately.
It just reminds me, I had a meeting with one of our trainees this morning and said something, and I went, just remember rule number 3, don't do anything that sends Kirsty to prison. And he went, he said, I can't remember what rule number 1 and 2 are. I went, rule number 1, people are more important than metal. Rule number 2, keep the red stuff on the inside. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's brilliant.
it's which, I'm sure there's a rule if I actually went down them that, like, keep net profit at this percent and gross profit at that percent, but keeping the red stuff on the inside.
Yeah, definitely,
Or
definitely. Yeah,
in your case, keeping the trust embossed red stuff on the inside.
yes, please.
Oh, Fiona, thank you so much. It's been an
No, thank you for having me.
absolute pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to see what you do next.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to having a drink with you or something, Kirsty, because I just think we would
Definitely.
just talk all night. It would be brilliant.
Yeah, well, we'll do that. We'll talk about the dogs as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And as I know you mentioned in a previous conversation, you're a huge amateur dramatic
Oh gosh,
performer. So yeah, I want to hear about that as well.
we can do theatre,
We
theatre,
can,
darling.
we can. We'll do a time step. It'll be fine. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
me, Fiona.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye bye.